Hello! I'm running 1 minute behind. 1 minute, okay? 1 minute. 1 minute behind. I apologize. I decided that I was really hungry, so I had to eat, and I was trying to eat really quickly, and then I felt kind of sick, so... Just be more prepared. That's today's topic. No, it's not. It's not today's topic. Today's topic isn't about being prepared. Today's topic is going to be about design, and I'm going to create a thumbnail, just a random thumbnail, based off of an idea that I won't be doing, but perhaps if I do this and I show it to Like Monster, maybe he'll do it? I don't know. But I'm going to make a thumbnail today. We're going to have some fun putting together a thumbnail. It's not going to be like the last one where we were doing a whole art thing. This is going to actually be crafting a thumbnail. I have this here. This is available on my Discord that you can see on screen here. This is a thumbnail checker, so if I hide this, it's got a little bit on how to use it, but I already know how to use it. But if you want to know how to use it, download it. So I'm going to hide this layer, and then we basically have a bunch of these things up here, like video title 1, video title 2, and I'm going to be in video title 1, and then all I have to do is this little icon that's down here. I basically just need to double click on this little icon, and it'll open up this. So we have background image, additionals, and adjustments, which we can edit to our liking, which has got some levels and some contrast and all of that stuff in. And this is basically where we're going to be making the thumbnail. Why am I making a thumbnail? Because it's quick and it's easy. I don't have a lot of time for today's stream, and I wanted to initially talk about design and design lore. So whilst I'm doing that, I figured that it would be good to just go through essentially like what makes a thumbnail, what makes a good thumbnail, and all of that stuff, and then put something together. And whilst we're doing that, maybe discuss a little bit about design lore. Now, originally, this stream was going to be showing some things that I know have been stolen in the past that are design related within the Minecraft community. Not Minecraft related. Design laws are interesting. We're going to get on to that. It's a very interesting topic. I'm excited to actually talk about it because design's an area that I have a lot of experience in. I started doing design work when I was a relatively young teenager. I started doing design work for small local companies. I've done hundreds upon hundreds of websites, done branding for big corporations and stuff. It's an area that I'm well versed in and done very well for myself in, I must add. So I figured that, you know, doing the thumbnails whilst talking about it would be good. So like the first thing you want to do obviously when you're creating a thumbnail is either set it to like either 720 or 1080. I tend to prefer making mine in 1080, and then if I need to downscale it to 720 I will. This one's in 1080, so it's 1920 by 1080. That's what we're going to be working in. And then, like, the first thing you really want to do when you're making a thumbnail is ask why you're making a thumbnail. That sounds obvious, but it's important to be like, okay, why are we making this? What's the purpose? Because it needs to be relevant to what you're making, that your video content's going to be. You don't want people calling you out, calling you like a clickbaity person or anything like that. So you want something that's relevant, but you also want something that's eye-catching. The biggest mistake that I see people make when it comes to YouTube is they'll slap like a lot of random stuff that doesn't necessarily need to be there. You want like you want it to be a focal point. The best thing of doing it is thinking about it like a poster. So the way that if you look on here, this is so we can see it in its actual size by just going to there. This is like, it needs to be legible, which means readable, at this size. If it's not readable at this size, if it looks messy, it's still good. Because this is what the majority of people on YouTube are going to see it related in its size. So we want to make sure it's this, you know, previewable in this size, which this whole thumbnail testbed will do for us. We basically make something in here, we click the save button, or we can do Control S to save it, and it will just pop up here so we can preview it in a small size. So I've got a bunch of elements which I'm going to start pulling into here, starting off with background image, which is going to give away probably what we're actually going to be making, because I'm going to be doing something based around VR. I don't use VR. I'm not a huge lover of VR, mostly because I would get in the way of the goggles, mostly. Right, so let's just position this something like that. Okay. So we have a background image, which we're going to drop into that folder there. So the important things is we want to get in what we're trying to say about VR, which for me, having watched some of my friends use VR, tends to be connectivity issues. There's a lot of errors that come up with Oculus and VR in general. Anybody that's using any of the other ones will be aware that you get a lot of these error messages. So I want to sort of like show that. I have a man. Now, obviously, this is not me. This is just a random man. I'm going to call him Sam. Sam, the random man. There we go. I'm going to put him in there. Obviously, this would be you. You would want to get like a good photo of you to put in there. And we want him to be a real focal point. So we're going to make him pretty large like this. We're probably going to put him there. Let's make him even bigger than that. He's wearing the VR headset, which obviously, again, it's related to what we're doing. So we're going to put that there and like that. Yeah, okay, and then I've got basically just a bunch of random stuff that we're going to throw in behind him, which is mostly error messages, just lots and lots of the error messages that you get with VR. So we have this one here, this display error. We're going to make that one big, and then we'll duplicate it and make another one that's going to be smaller. Because well, I'm wanting to get like a good sort of like layered sort of look to all of this. So we're gonna like slap that there. We'll take this one, put that sort of here. That'll go behind him slightly. So let's grab those and just put them down like that, like that. There we go. And then we're gonna get some of our other error messages. So let's take this one. Okay, put that there. We'll get another one, make this one smaller and put this one down here. Sort of angle, maybe not quite that. That there. Something like that. And then we're gonna throw in another error. Just all the error messages. Okay, so this I'm gonna actually put sort of behind that, like there. We'll put that like that. And we're going to take another one, get that, and then we're going to put that down here. Something like that. Okay, so we've got like a pile of error messages. This up here, this area is a little bit void, so I might take, so when, okay, back to step. One of the important things when you're working with doing any sort of design like this is you're looking at positive and negative space. So we really want to isolate anything that we think is a large void and try and fill it in. We want a nice balance, right? So let's take this one. We'll duplicate this one again. We'll just put that in like there. Okay, there we go. So we have like a good sort of bit, but the character, the main person, is sort of falling away into the background a little bit. Now, there's a few ways we can solve that. We could throw a stroke around them, which, you know, is a nice simple solution. And the odds are, you've seen a lot of videos that have that, where they'll just take a white stroke, throw around the character, and be like, jobs are good, right? Which, you know, it kind of looks nice on this one. Sometimes it doesn't look nice. You put a drop shadow on. Sometimes you want to fade some of the other stuff back a little bit. I don't tend to... So there's two ways of doing that. We can either put everything in here inside a folder, which we can hit there and then lower the opacity down. I prefer to take like a solid black, like this, and then just drop that down until I'm happy with how far back it looks. What we'll do is we'll do one there on 17%, and then we'll take another one, and we'll put that one on there. And we'll look at increasing that a little bit. There. Then we drop this one, pull this one back. There we go, something like that. So now we're not falling away into the background. So what we've done is, if you think about when you're taking a photo, the things that are further away from the camera start getting like a horizon haze. Whatever the color of the horizon is, it starts to get that sort of look to it. So if it's a sunny day and it's like a blue sky, the further away from the camera things get, it tends to fall away towards the horizon and get a slight blue tone. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically simulating that, but with these black tones. So behind him, there is a slight black tone, and then behind that, there is another dark tone. So they overlap, and we get this fall away sort of effect. So that's what we're doing. So we have all of that. That's all good. But now I want error signs and stuff like that, which we're going to start doing. So this is the part where we're adding design elements, because we've got like a loose, rough idea. I'm going to probably move this one down a little bit, so it's slightly more pleasant for me to look at. Find which one it is. It's this one. Yeah, we'll put it there. There's a little bit nicer. Push it in. There we go. That's better. So once we've got that, we need to then start adding in text and all of that sort of stuff. So we need to figure out what this video is about. Now, one of the temptations that you will probably have if you're ever doing something like this is to be like, okay, well, it's about Oculus, let's do this, and we'll slap this on there like that, right? And we'll just put the Oculus logo on. Don't do that. Don't put the Oculus logo on. The Oculus logo is a brand mark. You shouldn't just be using logos like that. If it's for a game, they tend to be fine. But here's the thing, the more critical you are of an item, the more likely it is that company's going to be like, well, we can just take that down, they're using something of ours. So if you're saying something nice about Oculus, you'll probably get away with using the logo. Saying something bad about them like this, how it's just not connecting, it's got errors, full of problems, yeah, probably don't want that. So try and avoid using anything that is a copywritten trademarked logo, because if you do, they might not like it. Games tend to be okay, but I did run into an issue in terms of design law years ago with EA, because I did a review that was super critical of one of the Command & Conquer games, and they had the entire thing shut down. Like, the whole website got shut down purely because of this one review that I wrote. They were very upset about it. I found it hysterical. But, I removed the offending pieces and put it back up. They weren't very happy about that either. But, that's what companies can be like at times. I think I'm actually going to make our Mr. Man a little bit bigger as well. And then I think what I'm going to also do is tilt him. A nice little jaunty angle. There we go. I say jaunty. Action. I think that's the term that gets used now. I'm going to add a little bit of action to it. There we are. That's a bit better. So we have all of this. That's all fine and diggity dandy. Here's probably where we're going to end up putting in some text. So I probably want to make him move him up a little bit more, something like this. We have enough room down there. So we're just basically, when I save a Photoshop file, and I save it as a Photoshop file, I tend to put in brackets at the end, liquid, so it's whatever the name is that I'm originally going to be making, followed by liquid in brackets, and that's because everything in here is like liquid, right? I can move things around independently and test and play around, so I call it a liquid file. It's something that we started doing a long time ago when I worked in a design studio. We started labeling everything as liquids. So there we go. That's sort of all there. But we've got a few more design elements that we want to put in. So I'm going to throw in some of these high impact, brightly coloured cautions. We'll throw one in. Same angle as that. We want it to be below our man. Put that in there like that. And then we're going to take another one. I'm going to put that down here. Probably make that a bit smaller. Yeah, about there. About there. Okay, and then underneath those, I'm just going to create a quick layer, and I'm just going to paint, very crudely paint, some white in so it's not dark behind. And it's behind, so it doesn't matter. Look, if I... There you go, it's just a little strip, but that's that over the top, and it's transparent in there, so it'll just fill that in. Okay. So now all I want to do is I want to just give this... it doesn't have to be the title. That's the other thing that you'll often see. If you... When you're making a YouTube video, you have this tendency to want to give it the best SEO-able name. Okay, so you'll give it a good SEO name. Something that will work. Something that will get a lot of searchability, if you will. With the thumbnail, it doesn't have to have the whole SEO type name in there, because it already has the title next to it or underneath it. It doesn't have to be in the thumbnail as well. You want something that is eye-catching. Remember, it's a poster. It's a poster, and that text bit that sits next to it, that tells them what it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to probably throw some text on. And some big text. And we're just going to put broken, exclamation mark. Okay, we want that to be above our man, so I can actually see where I'm working with here. Pretty wide text, I'm just going to shrink that in a little bit. Put that there. Now, we can say the word Oculus, we just can't use the logo, right? So we're going to take this, and we're just going to put Oculus is this. We'll scale that up. And we're going to slot that in down here, make that a little bit bigger. And pop it there. There we go. So one of the things I've not discussed yet, which is the topic of today's little stream as I'm doing this, is design law. Now, within the Minecraft community, Mojang have this thing in their terms of service, right? If you make a build, if I make a build, if anybody makes a build, anybody in the world makes a build, you don't own that build. It's in their terms of service that somebody else can take that build, do what they want with it, okay? Now, I've had people take my builds, be heavily inspired by my builds without giving any sort of credit at all. It's common. It's very common. And you might think, oh, well, that's like small sort of YouTubers, like including myself, that look at larger YouTubers and go, oh, I'm going to jump on that gravy train, ride the coattails. That's not necessarily the case. Quite often what happens is a larger YouTuber, not necessarily a huge YouTuber, but a larger YouTuber than the person they are cannibalizing the content of, is the one that does it. They'll take something from a smaller YouTuber. And with Minecraft content, you can do that. It sucks, but you can do that. You shouldn't do that, but you can do that. But one of the problems that I've started to see over the past sort of 3 years of sort of being involved with Minecraft content creation is that starts to pollute the tiny little minds of the people that make and steal Minecraft content from other people, designs and builds and stuff, and it starts to seep into their thing that they can get away with just taking stuff. And they start doing things like taking thumbnails or taking like Instagram related things or Facebook related things, video elements, all of these types of bits and pieces where they start to imitate really closely. This falls under a different thing. This doesn't fall under Minecraft and Mojang's terms of service anymore. This starts to fall under design law, and design law is very protected. Basically, if I make something or you make something, say you make a poster, and it's promoting you because, you know, you want to promote yourself. That's kind of the idea, right? A bit of self-promotion never goes amiss. So you make something to promote yourself, something really flashy and nice looking, and somebody else copies it. Now, the moment you've made that and released it, it is legally yours. It's a form of art. Now, you can take it and have it officially copywritten, but the date stamp that is attached to that original upload serves as proof in a court of law that you are the original creator of it. Now, if somebody then copies you, you can take them to court, or you can file what is known as a cease and desist, which basically means they have to take it down. Now, do I want this to be black or do I want this to be white? I think I actually want it to be black and a little bit chunkier. Okay, and we're going to take that and copy that, and then we're just going to paste it on there, because this is the thing with a lot of these types of thumbnails, is they're not greatly difficult. Now, I'm not sure whether I want this to be in lime green yet. I'm going to sit and stew on this as we're talking. I might try it out in the yellow, similar sort of yellow to this. But I think it might fall away into the background too much. But I'm going to have a look. So, design work is protected. Okay, so if somebody takes something of yours, then you can get them to not do that. So how do you do that? How do you get somebody to stop doing, stop using something, stop taking something that you have poured your heart and soul into? Well, the first thing you need to do is contact them. You need to contact them. You need to contact them and say, hey, this is too similar. This is way too similar. And then once you've done that, based on what they do, like they might turn around and say, oh, look, I'm really sorry, blah, 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 whatever sort of thing they have as their reasoning behind it. And you may agree with that reasoning, and you might be like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. Just, don't do that. Like, they might have handed it off to somebody, they might have done it. But at the end of the day, it's your design work. You need to protect yourself, because the online world is very difficult, and it's very cutthroat. And people will steal stuff from you if they can get away with it. I think I do prefer it in that color. I think I do. So you need to make sure that you are protected online, because no one's looking out for you. No one's looking out for you. It doesn't matter if you're in like this huge sort of thing of like, oh man, I know all these other content creators and stuff like that. They will steal from you if they can. Like, if they're that way inclined and you know that they've taken some other person's stuff, then they may take stuff from you. So you need to make sure that your stuff is protected as much as you can. And a good way of ensuring that is just contact them and saying, hey, look, this is too close. Would you mind changing it? Now, that puts them in the position of doing one of two things. They can either agree, which, is the rightful thing. Say, yeah, no, I agree. I'll change that. Sorry. Or they can argue it. Now, that puts you in a difficult position at that point, as the original creator of it. Because at that point, you then have to either accept that that person has copied you and go away and try and come up with something new, but then it could just happen again. Or you start looking into filing cease and desists on that stuff, which can be a bit dickish, but the bottom line is it's business, and it is extremely harmful. If somebody is taking something that is your designs or your ideas even, and they start copying what you're doing. So let's take a particular branding element that you use, and you've laid it all out, it looks nice, it's really nice branding. Now, that layout that you've done is called a compilation. So it falls under design law and protected under what's called a compilation protection. So this person then takes your stuff and you don't want to do anything about it. You're fine with that, okay? You're like, okay, whatever. And I get that. It's a fair point. You don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to upset people. You don't want to be that person. But let's say you have 5,000 subscribers and this other person has 20,000 subscribers or 50,000 subscribers. Which one of you is going to get seen first? Probably them. So they're going to get seen first, then that person's going to go to your stuff, and then they label you the copycat. So you've been copied, and then you're chastised, which is unfair. So you need to make sure that you protect yourself as much as possible when it comes to online stuff. And the best way of doing it, as horrible as it is just being not litigious, but forthcoming and saying to people, hey, like this is too close to my stuff. Would you mind changing it because it's too similar? And most of the time, you're going to find that they'll just change it because they don't want to argue it. They often know what they've done. What we're going to do is we're going to do that. I just don't want it in bold or black. I think I want it in black. I want it in actual black, though. No. Maybe. See, a lot of the time, when it comes to... We want these to be under the man. When it comes to doing thumbnails, you're really wanting to get a nice sort of... Oh, I didn't want to... It wasn't that I meant to duplicate, it was this. You're really wanting to create something that's going to be legible when it's small. So, although I'm doing these, some of this probably won't be legible. Not that that matters, as long as the overall part is legible. That's all that really matters. I'm going to shrink that down a little bit. And we'll put that one in white. Actually, I think I preferred this being in that green. I'm sitting on it for a bit before I make any decisions. Because I think when it's small, I want it to be really sort of like pop outy. Trying blue. No, I do think it wants to be that green. Green's going to offset this red a little bit. I don't think I want it in red though. I don't know, maybe. Maybe we do want it in red. No, I don't. I like the green. I'm a big fan of green. So... Okay, so we're going to copy that, and we're going to paste it over broken. And now we're faced with another choice. Do we want this to be in a different color? Do we want it to both be in green? Hey, how's it going, man? Hope you're well. Welcome to the stream. No, we don't want it to be in. We're just going to leave it like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly hit save. Like so, and then once this has fully saved, we can preview it being small. So as you can see, the Oculus's broken bit stands out. You can see that there's error messages there. Can't necessarily read what they are, but we're instinctively aware of what an error message looks like. And then to highlight that, we have a few error bits dotted around. I think up here probably wants one, another little error bit, or actually another one of these, which I accidentally duplicated. So that's going to come in handy. So we'll take another one of those, make that small, pull it up there. So what we've done, see on here, it doesn't really look like dead space, but on here, it stands out a lot. So we'll jump into here, we'll grab this accidental copy, we'll shrink that down a little bit, and we'll rotate it to about that angle, so it kind of looks like they're zipping in. There we go, like that. About there. And then on this layer, we'll just use our paintbrush and really quickly that bit in like that. There we are. Right. So just give that a quick save. So yeah, that's basically with design related stuff. It's important to make sure that you protect yourself, because as I say, no one's looking out for you until you get like an attorney, a solicitor, a lawyer that specializes in protecting your rights as an artist, as a designer or a creator. You're kind of on your own. Now, I'm very fortunate to be in the position where I used to work in design, so I know people in that field that can help me out if I need that. And I've used them in the past. I have been relatively litigious with people stealing designs from me in the past. I make font faces, and if somebody's not purchased a license, I need to make sure that those people are reprimanded for using my work for a commercial purpose when they haven't purchased a commercial license. And Then there was Exodus, which used to be an esports organization that I used to own. I got ill and we stopped doing Exodus. But you wouldn't know, because there was dozens of people using the branding. And I had to spend like an entire month going through, shutting these people down. Because it was a brand of mine and Flames. Me and Flames together owned Exodus. I was the designer. He did a bunch of development. We developed that whole thing together many years ago. So I had to go through and slap cease and desists on people and get them to stop using it. And every now and then somebody else crops up and they're using it. And now it's sort of like at the point where it's old enough ago. It's a long enough time back when it was active that it doesn't really matter anymore. It's just a random logo. It's fine. So I'm not that bothered anymore, but it used to be a problem. This actually does want to be in white, because when it's small, it stands out better, I think, when it's in the white. So you have to be able to protect yourself in any way that you can, because as I say, no one's going to ensure that you're looked out for except you. And say people do. Minecraft is rife with it. Minecraft is absolutely rife with it. And I think it does stem, like I said before, from the fact that Mojang have this terms of service that it's okay to take other people's builds. It's strapped into their terms of service. If you make a build and you make that public, or you share a video of that build, i.e. as soon as other people see it, they are free to copy that. That's up to them. If they want to do it, they can. They shouldn't. They shouldn't. It's a bit like, you can kick a puppy to death. You can do that. You shouldn't. You shouldn't kick puppies to death. But you can. You know, it's the same sort of thing. They basically left it very open of just sort of like, hey, you can do this if you're a dick. But, you know, because it is allowed and it doesn't break any sort of laws, people do it. I see it all the time. All the time. I've been on many servers. I've moderated and adminned on plenty of servers. It happens all the time. Somebody sees something on Planet Minecraft, they go, hey, I'm just going to use that as the base and start ripping things and pulling bits in and doing this, that, and the other. And they don't give any credit for it. They don't give any credit for it. They don't accredit the original creators. Even though they spent huge amounts of time doing it and they've allowed you to have this shortcut, no credit's given. And you're free to do that. According to Mojang's terms of service, you're free to do that. You shouldn't do that. Don't be a dick. But you are free to do that. But I think it pollutes, as I say, I think it pollutes the tiny minds of these people that do think that's okay to start delving into other areas. And I say, I've seen a lot where, particularly when it comes to YouTube, you'll see like a small YouTuber. He's got 50 subs, 100 subs. I'm not, again, never going to name any names because that's not what this is about. They've got like 50 subs, very little. But they have an Instagram and they share this thing. And then you see somebody else that is sort of within your sphere who's got maybe 1,000, 2,000 subscribers. And they comment on this person's video who's got 50 subs. There's only like 4 of us watching. The tiny little YouTube channel. And then like a month later, you see this person who's got 2,000 subs doing exactly the same video. Like almost identical. It's cannibalization. But the problem is that does fall under design law and they could be shut down for it and should be shut down for it. But it's a real issue within content creation as a whole. But as I say, most of the time when I'm focused on these things, I do try and look at it from the Minecraft perspective. Did you save? I don't know if I did save. I did save. Oh, it did. It's just, it is very small. Okay, error. Oculus is broken. Very nice. Very nice. I want to make him a little bit bigger again still, I think. So I'm just gonna... Hey, Mr. Man. What are you doing there? You stop floating around like some sort of possessed genie. There we go. So I do want our guy to be sort of the focal point. Sort of slot him in there. Pull him in there like that. But, you know, it occurs a lot, this whole design, like, where it sort of, it bleeds over from things that are okay to things that aren't okay. And it becomes normalized in a way where these smaller YouTubers don't really think that they have much to stand on. And it hurts them more than it hurts the other person for a number of reasons. One, that person has more subscribers than them, so they don't need to be stealing from this smaller YouTuber. It steals the creativity, so it's a shortcut. That person who's got like 2,000 subs, they haven't had to spend a week or 3 days or however long it is coming up with all of that creative stuff. That takes time away from making a video. I'll be honest with you, I've made a lot of videos. I can make a video in 1 hour. It doesn't take long. If I wanted, I could release about 14 videos a week. I wouldn't, because it would be too many, but it's possible to do that. The hard part is the idea, that ember that you sort of like fan and, you know, get to become this great video. So if they bypass that, it's essentially like you sit there with a flint and steel, you're knocking away, you get this ember, you hone it, you blow on it, you fan it, you get this good big blazing flame, and then it's basically just some dickhead runs back and goes, "Ah, it's mine!" and runs off with it. And that's basically what it is, right? They just take it and they're gone. And they get seen first because they've got a larger audience. So then the person who has 50 subscribers gets seen with their video. People don't look at date stamps. The average man doesn't look at date stamp. When was the last time you looked at a date stamp on a video or on something on Instagram? You just see the picture, you click on it and go, "You copied such and such," or "You took this from blah blah blah." Even though that smaller YouTuber or smaller content creator did it first, that's not what people see, because they have seen it on the larger person first, on this larger audience-based content creator. So they see it there, and then, you know, it's the other person that gets labeled the copycat, and that's when it starts to become really unfair. And I'm going... Like I say, I don't really like calling people out. I don't like calling names out. I don't like doing that sort of stuff. But over the past year and a half, I think COVID, sort of as COVID was sort of... I started to see it more and more where large YouTubers, not necessarily massive YouTubers, but larger YouTubers of varying different levels, are taking things from smaller YouTubers. And I may just start calling them out on a new channel. I may create a new channel and just call them out. I'm not decided yet, but these people need to stop. They have to stop doing it. And like I say, it is technically against the law to do it. It falls under copyright law. They can go to court and lose a lot of money, but they still do it. Anyway, so we've added in our text, we've got all of those sorts of things. Now we need to make sure that it's relevant to our brand. Well, in this case, the character, the person is the brand. So this would be you with whatever expression-y type things you're doing. So that essentially makes that fall under the right sort of bit, right? So we have those sorts of things. We're using nice contrasting colors, which is important. So when you see it small, the Oculus is broken really pushes out at you. You can still see all of the other stuff. And we're using these black color masks to, as I say, drop things further and further into the background, so that we don't just have something that looks very flat. Now that's hard to do with Minecraft, as you can see on here, on this one with Grian. I do think he has dropped this down a touch. I don't think that's as bright as what it normally would be. But on this one of Etho, it's very flat. You can't really pick him out at this size. Don't get me wrong, Etho's a lad. I like Etho, but it's not a great thumbnail, because it falls away too much and it's very illegible from this distance. Grian's a beast doing thumbnails that really stand out, as is Scar, which is why I've included a few of their things in this as a pack when I've been going through. Just because it's good to see that comparison. But I'm happy with how well this is all contrasted and stuff. So now that all we really want to do now is we want to run some tests on our adjustment layers. Now, adjustment layers are... I don't think... They probably do exist in other... In other sort of photo editing stuff. But I'm not sure. But they do exist inside Photoshop. So we've got one for our levels. So if we move this one up, you'll see our darks become darker. And if we move this one down, our lights become lighter. And then this middle one here is sort of like the middle band. And normally what I tend to do is I tend to push up the darks a touch and then drop down the lights a little bit just to increase the contrast. And then under brightness and contrast, I'll tend to drop brightness down a touch and then increase that like that. So we get this real vivid color scheme. And then we'll save it and then we'll have a little look at it on our test bed. Make sure it's still, there we go, still stands out. And that's pretty much it. That's all you really have to do to make an eye-catching thumbnail. Contrast, composition, make sure it's relevant. Like if, okay, so let's take away, actually let's just make a fresh one. Let's make a freshie. We're just gonna hide these because this is where all our stuff is, just in them. So we're gonna hide all of that and we're just gonna call this freshie. Just, there we go, freshie, like that. And then I'm going to need to find where my thumbnails are saved. Well, not my thumbnails, but my screenshots. Let me see if I can find a quick screenshot. I'm going to show you what not to do. I've shown you what to do. I'm going to show you what not to do. I think that's going to be just as helpful. One of these is what's yours? Actually, yeah, that's a good example. Let's use this one. Okay, so I have this here. I'm going to drag that in, like that. I'm going to just quickly turn off those adjustment layers because they're altering the color balances, and I probably won't use those on this. So we have this thing here. This is me floating, or 𝗕𝗢𝗫𝗛 as the character floating, my Minecraft character floating, in front of this jungle temple. So there's a couple of things that we really want to do on this, but what we shouldn't do is this. This is what we shouldn't do. I'm gonna show you really quick what we shouldn't do. Go and my videos section, and then under here, and then in here. Okay. What we shouldn't do is this. This we shouldn't do. Alright, let's rotate it, because I don't like the fact that it's like that horizontally. Okay, because we're already there. We're already on there. We already have a focal point of us there. We don't need two focal points of us. Okay, you already have a focal point. Either take a shot that doesn't have you in, or remove this. For this, we're going to remove that. Because it's fine having the Minecraft character. So what I want to do is I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Because we want the focal point to be really... that. Okay. So we have that in. We're stood here. That's behind us. We have enough space knocking around that we've got enough space for any sort of text-related thing that we might want to do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to very, very, very quickly use my polygonal lasso tool, and I'm just going to go around this real quick. cut out, essentially we're just cutting out where the temple is. It doesn't have to be accurate because, again, thumbnails end up being small. Don't be really pedantic with what you're doing so much. And if you look at a lot of larger YouTubers and you look at their thumbnails, you get them blown up big. Use a thumbnail grabber to look at them in full size. You'll find that they are very rough around the edges because content is king. And you don't want to spend 15,000 years on your thumbnail. Okay. And we need to grab this section as well. Again, think about it like this, right? If you know that a video takes you an hour to make, start to finish, 1 hour, job done. But your thumbnail takes like 5 hours because you're being really pedantic. You're working at a loss at that point. So we're just going to lay that by copy. We have a copy of this, and we're just going to stick a little stroke. Put that in white. Drop that down. So that's one way of doing it, and you'll see that that'll often get used where a bit's been pulled out, and then what we can do is we can do what we did on the previous one. Select that black, fill it in on this layer, and then drop the opacity down just so it stands out in front of everything else. It becomes a focal point. We could also adjust the brightness on this to make it brighter. So just increase the brightness and contrast a touch on there so it really jumps out. And then we would cut out probably where 𝗕niGMA is as a character as well, which we will now do real quick. Now, I'm doing multiple different things all at once here. But again, I'm sort of showing what not to do at the same time as giving ideas on how to do certain things. Because once we have these cut out, there are certain things that we can do to improve the focal points a little bit better than what we have just by putting an outline on them. Because although outlines are good, they are overused. The problem with overusing something is over time people start to close them out from their mind. It just becomes white noise back there, the recesses of the brain. If you want something that really stands out, you need to constantly be thinking and trying to push the bout out a little bit further each time you do something. Okay, so there we go, we got that. I'm just going to layer that by copy. Pull him up there so he's become a little bit brighter. That, there we go. But what I want to do is I want to make this bigger. I want this to be a fair amount bigger. Let's put him about there. Now you can see there's like a little bit of stuff in the background, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rasterize this like that, and then I'm going to use our brush, and I'm just going to remove any bit that's behind that I can come across. Phone stamp on that one, so that there, and plop. And I think that was pretty much it, but just in case it wasn't. There we go. So now we're like way closer in the foreground. So we can take this stroke that we have around our original piece and we want to put that around 𝗕niGMA like that. And we're actually going to make that stroke a little bit bigger because it's technically closer to the camera. So we're thinking about the eye-catching sections. Do that. Okay. Let's see about pulling that back a little bit. Somewhere there. Kind of like there. And then I'm going to remove the stroke around that. Because we already have the colour bit on there. And I'm going to select my brush. I'm going to make sure it's in a white. And I'm not sure if I have any, but I think I do. May not. I've recently reinstalled all of my Photoshop. I did a huge update. It's one of the reasons I took a bit of a break away from things for a while. This is my Cyberpunk set. I may release this publicly at some point. Hey Anita, welcome to the stream, man. I hope you're having a really nice day, afternoon, morning, evening, nighttime, morning. I hope you're having a nice day. I hope you're having a nice day. Yeah, I may release this at some point. I spent ages making this really cool Cyberpunk set for whilst I was making my Cyberpunk thing. Yeah, I don't think I do have any. All right, let me just go and grab this. That's the real question. Oh, wait, that's probably like this. God damn it! It was there. I found it. I found the way to log in. Okay, let's just download that. Up here, so we want is some of these we want to pop in, so let's use this folder real quick. And I'm just gonna actually we just drag those in. Pass and format this file. Can you place the additional file? Oh, that's because I've dragged it not into this one. That is why. There we go. So we have some lines. I want to find a nice one that's sort of centered. We just go above everything that's there. Couple seconds. See, go on that one. It's small, but for this example, it will do. I'm gonna do that and move that across. Scale it this way. Oh, didn't mean to set me to dissolve. There we go. Duplicate that. Put it in a folder and drop that down. Could even put a Gaussian blur on it. We won't, but we could. Actually, I prefer it without this time. Okay. So one of the things I'm going to do though is behind Enigma, because Enigma is essentially that's now the mascot. That's why we don't need this anymore. We don't need multiple versions of me everywhere. We already have me there. I'm gonna grab this, which is a vignette, which I have always knocking around in case I need it. And drop that down a touch like that. And we want this to stand out a little bit more, but I don't want to put the stroke on it because that will make it look weird. So I'm just going to increase the brightness and increase the contrast a little bit. And then we're going to select, oh, let's try and keep it. So we're just going to use maybe, yeah, we'll use Bobby one. Nice, it's a nice simple font. We're just going to write, oh, helps if I can write. Ah, yes, I know English. Temple. With a capital E at the end, because I'm going to do a little bit of stuff on this. Not much, but a little bit. Right, so we want that to be above the vignette. Like that. Okay, so now we can see that Enigma and the Jungle Temple need to go this way slightly. So I've got a bit more space. I'm going to grab those, and then I'm going to grab Enigma and move them over a little bit as well. And then we're going to scale that up a touch. There we go. Right, now I'm going to hide Enigma for a moment, so we're going to see a little bit of random background Enigma. Rasterize this layer. There we go. Just add in that little bit of an underline. I think will help a fair amount. I know, I don't have that bit selected. Just going to re-grab those and merge all of that together, so that's now one solid bit. Okay, so now we can decide whether we want it there or whether we want it here. I think there. And I think I want to move our large Enigma over a little bit more to about here-ish. There. And now we can make this a little bit smaller. And then we're just going to write overhauling above. So we'll do overhauling A. And then we're going to scale this down. And then increase the kerning. Kerning is a fancy name for the space between characters. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to increase that. That. Drop that down like there. And then we can take both of those, put those into a folder, and then we can slap on a beautiful, nice color. Actually, I think we're going to go with a nice yellow. Put a stroke on, put the stroke in a black. Actually, do you know what might look nice on this one? Is a really, really slight gradient. A really slight gradient. So I want it to be on a 90. I want it to be from a that yellow that we had into a softer orange. So like that color into about there-ish. Yeah. And then we're going to set the scale to be 100. Move down until we find our bit. Actually, let's bring that scale bit. Something like that. And now all I want to do is I want to make Enigma stand out a little bit more, because I brought the Jungle Temple forward. I need to bring Enigma as a character forward as well to make it make a little bit more sense. We're just going to bring that forward a little bit as well. And then we can save that. There we go. So, rather than using just all of the outlines, the Jungle Temple still stands out because we've dropped the background back. We've pushed the background back by pulling that low opacity black. And then we've increased the brightness and contrast on the jungle temple to pull that forwards. So it creates this separating sort of effect where ripping it away from that background, pushing it out so it stands out a little bit more. So that's good if you have a very busy background. The other way of doing it is obviously making sure that it's just pure sky behind it, which is, you know, you'll see Green does this a lot, as does Scar. So we have blue, 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 blue. This one not so much, so he's using an arrow. Not a huge lover of the arrow. Not a big fan of the arrows, but they work. Again, we have blue here. So just trying to make sure that you have something that's clear and concise, something that's very visible, is important. So there we go. We've managed to... Oh, I'm ripping that out. We've managed to take what would have been a bad thing and just bring it forwards a little bit. Update it so it's not... It stands out. We can read it. Overhaul in a jungle temple. We could even... Rather than having it sort of say overhauling a jungle temple, we could just leave it where it doesn't have anything. Or a little bit of flavor. Just add a little bit of flavor in it. It could just be like jungle what? Instead of saying like overhauling a jungle temple. It could just have an arrow pointing to the jungle temple and underneath just say awful! Exclamation mark. And then the title says overhauling a jungle temple. So there's different ways of approaching it. But the important thing is don't just slap these sort of bits on. Like, you want the focal point of your poster to not be you. Imagine going to see a poster for like a movie and it's just the actor. It's just a picture of the actor, nothing else, nothing in the background, just the actor. The actor's what gets pushed forward. There's no indication of what the movie is about. There's nothing there. It's just a picture of the actor, and then underneath just like, watch this fucking movie. You know, it's not good enough. You can't just slap. You are not the main focal point. If you're making a Minecraft video, you want the Minecraft video to be the focal point. So make sure your thumbnail is relevant to whatever video you are making. If you are making a video about science labs, make the lab the focal point. If you're making a video about cyberpunk or steampunk or whatever punkity punk that you're doing, then make sure that that is the focal element. Don't just be like, slam! Picture of me on there. Except if you're doing, as I said, that sort of thing that we did before. So let's take all this and just throw this in Freshie so we can actually hide Freshie. If you're doing something like this, then yeah, you probably should be the main focal point. Because it's an action thing. We've got all of this stuff going on. So if we save this will update. So if we save that, this will pop and become the other thing. There we go. So that's still nice and legible, very eye-catching, makes you want to click it. You're like, Oculus is broken. Click. And it's a video talking about Oculus not working. This is overall in the jungle temple. It should have a jungle temple featured in there at least somewhere that is prominent. It should be as prominent as you. If I just removed 𝗕𝗫𝗛𝗔, just get rid of that. So it's like that. That is still better than if you didn't have the jungle temple. See? Still better. You don't want anything where if I remove that, there we go. If I remove that, so that's now in the background as well. And then I save that. When it's small, you're like, what jungle temple? What jungle temple? What are we looking at? Why am I so big? Why am I the focal point? I shouldn't be the focal point. That's not right. So don't do that. Make sure your focal point is bam. It's there. Right there. And then once you've got all of that and you're happy with it, then start playing around with your contrast and your levels. So these levels are a little bit too much. I'm going to drop that back a little bit. Drop that back a little bit. Tweak that. Yeah, I think that's probably about it. I think just that tiny little touch. Just pop it out a little bit, increase a bit of the contrast. see this update. There we go. That's it. That's all we needed to do. Just a little touch, a tiny little adjustment where the grey was here, and we went, bloop. That's all we needed to do. Just there you go, job done. Thumbnail's one of those things, okay? That's like one of, you know, you want it to be a poster, you want it to be eye-catching, you want it to be really sort of visible, and sort of eye-catching and relevant to whatever it is you're making. So that's important. The other thing that you need to do if you're really getting serious into it is do tests and iterations, which is why there are so many here. So you can take this, take this folder, you open it up in here. So like I could open up number 2 now, just to like that, and then I can go into here and take Freshie as a whole folder and just drop that in there. Make sure it's positioned roughly where it was before, like that. No, a little bit further this way. There we go. Yep, there. And then play around with it a little bit more. So figure out another way of doing it. See if there is another way of doing it. There might be, I don't know. There could be. Who knows? We could make the background slightly smaller, so it's hidden behind everything, so the stuff really jumps out. We could take 𝗕𝗢𝗫𝗛𝗛, sort of put him there, I guess. We're still hiding the stuff. We could move the logo up to the top. So let's take the logo, which is in here. Put that up there. Overhauling the jungle temple. Let's take 𝗕𝗫𝗫𝗛 and tilt him a little bit like this. Pull him down a little bit so he's not overlapping. See, now here I can see a problem immediately, and that's that it's cutting away too much at our target, what we actually want it to be looking at. So I don't want that up there. It has to be down here, unless we move everything down, which we don't have enough space for. So we'll move that to there, and then we'll take 𝗕𝗫𝗫𝗛 and sort of put him maybe leaning inwards then, just like this. Something like that. Now we're going to need to clone stamp out some of me in here. There we go. Overhauling the jungle temple. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that, which is our large bit, and we're just going to make that a touch bigger. That. Okay, and then we're just going to, actually redo the adjustments because I didn't copy those over. So let's go into here, put that up to there, that down to there, and then move that across to there. Okay, and then hit save on that one. So now we'll be able to see two side by side that are slightly different. And then that's essentially what we do. We're playing around, coming up with different iterations. Find something that you really like. That's what this test bed's for. Now this test bed, like I said, it's available over on my Discord, which there's a link for in the description. So if you go down there, you can go into there. It's under the download section, under creator resources or content resources. It's a PSD file. You can download it. You open it up. Looks like this when you firstly open it. Shows you how to use it in the actual bit. So you know how to do it. Hide the layer and then get going. Pretty straightforward, but play around with iterations. Iterations are important in that you like the look of more. Apparently OBS had disconnected for a moment. It's apparently just reconnected. Don't know what that was about. But yeah, you want to test out your iterations, make sure that you're happy with how the thing looks overall. That's like really important to do. And that is pretty much it. That's all that you need to do to make eye-catching thumbnails. This has been like a much shorter stream than normal. I have lots and lots of things to do today. I am preparing an entirely new YouTube project, entirely new channel. I can't say anything about it. I've been working on it. It's doing well, doing very well. So I have to go and do a load of stuff for that as well. That isn't going to be taken away from anything that I do here. That isn't the main reason this is a shorter stream. I have some real life things that I also have to take care of today. So that's going to be it from me. I hope you all learned something about design laws, about why you should and shouldn't do things. I hope you learned about iterating thumbnails and laying things out, and I hope you learned something from just watching me do this. I am going to be making a series of videos on actually making Minecraft content from start to finish very, very, very soon. I have it all planned out. I have been working on it in the background for a few months. I'm very excited about it. It includes a lot of extremely important information, things that I wish I knew back when I very firstly started, things that I wish that other people hadn't done as well. You know, it's very, very good, very informative. I'm looking forward to it. It covers thumbnails in part 5, I think it is, because thumbnails are a little bit of ways down the way. You have to learn how to record, how to set up things, and all of that stuff first. So it goes through from very start to the very end. So if you're interested in making Minecraft content, or content of any nature, because it could be easily transposed and become any other type of video, then that will be hopefully on YouTube within the next couple of months. I'm still got a lot to do, and I've got a lot of personal stuff going on as well, so I'm not entirely sure exactly when it will be coming out, but it will be coming out at some point soon. Until then, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. I will be streaming tomorrow, I think, with 𝗕𝗢𝗫𝗛𝗚. I've not heard from him, but then Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, or whatever it's fucking called, this just come out. So he's been very antisocial. Very, very antisocial. Very, very antisocial. I'm thinking of divorcing him. Anyway, bye!